Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Jurassic Park Monsters and Mayhem podcast video. I thought I would mix another one of these in here, continuing the theme associated with talking about some of the lesser known offbeat stuff within the Jurassic Park franchise, such as the case with this location that had some grand plans that were going to be implemented within one of the films, but as always, disaster happens, or mayhem, as the playlist is called here, and afterward it was scuttled. But this blink and miss item is still pretty fascinating, and so I wanted to showcase it here, give an idea again of how this playlist will work, where I focus on smaller items but present as much detail as possible. That way it's great for the Jurassic Park fans out there like myself and others out there. But you're looking at a representation of it now. In this video, we're going to talk about the Jurassic Park San Diego location. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that here, and then I'll give my own commentary on it and then present some of the imagery, other type of trivia, and so on. I'd love to hear what your thoughts and comments are of this location. Plus, it was almost like an inspiration for another location afterwards. So here's essentially what it's about. Jurassic Park San Diego. This was an idea of a location that was featured there in the Lost World Jurassic Park film. Again, it was almost like blink and you'll miss it type stuff. It was featured very briefly, mainly through some imagery, some projections, even a model within a segment in the film by the character Peter Ludlow. He was the one that was stating that this was going to be the ultimate grand plan for their dinosaurs. So if the original Jurassic Park there on Isla Nublar was a bust, then this one was going to be its substitute. But interestingly enough, it turns out this was actually the original idea within the franchise, within the characters and the universe there. It turns out it was originally developed by John Hammond before he decided that maybe it was too small, maybe it was too inconvenient, something along those lines where it just wasn't going to work out within this type of amphitheater zoo. And so instead he abandoned that idea and then went over to the island, and that way they would have the dinosaurs there, at least would have an entire island for their location, for the park itself, as opposed to just this amphitheater. But of course, when all that mayhem occurred with the Jurassic Park film, then that's when Peter Ludlow took over. He took over InGen from his from John Hammond, from his uncle, and then in turn he was able to refocus once again on the idea of this amphitheater. Looking at these images, you can see where his ideas were going. Obviously, it was going to be a very large amphitheater. Seeing the size of it, seeing the layers associated with it, how there's the grand entrance, and then the size of the people there, you can see it was going to be several stories tall, and then probably like several football fields long when it comes to the inside. And of course, the dinosaurs themselves were going to be almost on an island of sorts on the inside of the amphitheater, and then surrounding it were going to be all sorts of levels of standees, like in other words audience members. One could imagine that based on real life situations, there was probably going to be the cheap seats going up towards the very top, and then the more expensive ones towards the center. There were probably going to be the standard expensive sky boxes as well. Who knows, there may have even been more closer ones, more interactive ones as well. It all just depends, I guess, on the final design associated with it. But yeah, it was going to be built, at least in the universe of Jurassic Park, sometime in the early 80s, before that was abandoned, before that timeline was then abandoned again for Isla Nublar. And then at that point, in those 90s, that's when the rest of the story took place in the Jurassic Park island itself. But yes, Peter Ludlow took over this idea. Once he did that, his notion was this, and we saw most of it happen within the Lost World film. It was going to be him and the quote-unquote hunterers going over to the island, and then that way they were going to be able to try to capture a lot of those dinosaurs that were roaming out there. I believe it was Isla Sorna that they were going to capture those dinosaurs from. Though, so there's two islands again. Isla Nublar was the one with the original park. Isla Sorna, as it turns out, was the one where the dinosaurs were originally grown, where they originally set loose. Still in captivity, but at least roaming about. And then the ones that were captured there were going to be featured on the park on Isla Nublar. But either way, though, eventually the ones there on Isla Sorna were going to be the ones taken by the hunters over to the Jurassic Park San Diego location. You'll notice too, it's almost like an afterthought, but instead of them capturing all of the dinosaurs, you notice that they were actually capturing almost one of each. It was the idea that this thing, this amphitheater, as large as it was, there was no way it was going to be able to hold all those dinosaurs. Again, it calls back to John Hammond and probably abandoning that idea because of the size of the theater itself. But at least for those hunters and for Peter Ludlow, they didn't need all those dinosaurs. They were just going to make do with at least some of the dinosaurs. In fact, the checklist of the species of dinosaurs was this: maybe at least one of each. Brachiosaurus, Compsognathus, I guess the Compes, Gallimimus, the Pachys as well, the Parasaurolophus, the Stegosaurus, the Triceratops, and then finally, of course, the Tyrannosaurus. They were all going to be taken over to the San Diego place, probably have a large amount of attendance, and then probably to keep things going realistically, again, applying real-world applications, especially considering the size of that quote-unquote island within the amphitheater. I imagine that they would have rotated dinosaurs. So maybe 1 week or maybe 1 month it was going to be featuring some of the larger dinosaurs, some of maybe like the herbivores, and then another month, probably during the summer when it was more touristy stuff, they were going to feature the Tyrannosaurus. Who knows? Obviously, you can't have both really within the same theater. There was probably going to be a very, very quick ending to that, with the Tyrannosaurus taking care of a lot of those dinosaurs there. So that's how I figure, just realistically, that it would have been. And then as you see in some of those surrounding areas, there was probably going to be some more of the dinosaurs just leisurely gracing around. And then there was probably going to be, if not underneath the amphitheater itself, somewhere else at least, where the rest of the dinosaurs would have been kept. This was kind of touched upon on Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom, how beneath that house, beneath that manor in the film, there was a very, very large underground place that stored all those dinosaurs. So nice little hallback touch to that, to this idea of the place. We never actually got to see, obviously, Jurassic Park San Diego in full motion, only just very quickly what was like almost like an entrance of sorts in the film, but nothing else like in terms of a full-blown location. But I was mentioning earlier that it was almost like a hallmark that was touched upon in it later on with Jurassic World. Once that was fully open, there was a big amphitheater of sorts. There was that one including the Mosasaurus. And then I believe there was one more, but I'm not 100% sure. But either way, though, at least that gives you an idea of how that would have worked there, how the construction associated with Jurassic Park San Diego kind of influenced the construction associated with Jurassic World. So obviously in the film, Peter Ludlow was a villain, 100% a bad guy, just caring more about money, about these assets than actual, like, let's say, risks to the people or risks to the dinosaurs themselves. But in a weird way, it was his vision of Jurassic Park San Diego which kind of influenced some of the ways associated with Jurassic World, because Jurassic World was kind of like a mixture of both Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park San Diego, both from the original island and then whatever was going to happen in San Diego. Clearly, of course, it never occurred at all as far as Jurassic Park San Diego. Once that Tyrannosaurus was able to escape and then roam about San Diego, causing a lot of ruckus, there was no way anybody was going to approve a location involving dinosaurs there in the middle of San Diego, especially now that one of those calamities happened with a rampaging dinosaur. So that was it. Once it happened, the dinosaur escaped, and then obviously was captured again. It was too much. That San Diego incident pretty much sealed the fate associated with the park. Whatever happened to the park afterward, even that short entrance and so on, the idea is it would probably, again, realistically, it would have been raised over. Like there would have been something else occupying. Who knows? It could be a parking lot now, or it could be just another set of apartments, something along those lines. Just whatever is happening there in the world of Jurassic Park, in the world of that universe, it doesn't take long for something else to be built over it. But that's pretty much it. That's everything I'd like to mention here associated with Jurassic Park San Diego. Again, blink and you miss it type moment when it comes to its quick appearance, but I like the idea, like as far as all the models, all the work associated with it, the imagery, the ideas of where the dinosaurs were going to be. Whoever developed this during the film itself, like for the production, they put all the same thought, like as if Disney World was going to create something in real life. It was almost like that was being done here too. But let me know what your thoughts are as far as that location. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.